Durkheim was born on April 15, 1858 in Epinal, France. His parents were Moise and Melanie Durkheim. As a young boy, Emile Durkheim has an appetite for science. This led him to go to Germany where he met Wilhelm Wundt. Wilhelm Wundt is a German physician, sociologist, philosopher, and professor. He was the one that exposed Emile Durkheim to scientific psychology. Durkheim published a lot based on experiences he had in Germany. This led him to get a position at the University of Bordeaux. He offered the first course in social science in a French university. His most important course at that time was on moral education, to help reverse the moral degeneration in the French society. Okay, so there are two main themes in Durkheim's work. The priority of the social over the individual, and that there is this idea that the society can be studied scientifically. Both of these themes continue to be controversial, thus making Durkheim still relevant until today.
To help move away from philosophy and psychology and to give it a clear and separate identity, Durkheim proposed that the distinctive subject matter of sociology should be the study of social facts. But first, let's relate and compare sociology to philosophy. Philosophy focuses more on abstract and imaginary things, while sociology, on the other hand, focuses on the study of social facts. But what are social facts? Social facts are social structures, cultural norms, and values that are external to and coercive of the individual. These social facts control the actions and beliefs of an individual and society as a whole. Now, there are two types of social facts, material and non-material. Material social facts are directly observable, such as social institutions like religion, education, and family. Non-material social facts, on the other hand, are not directly observable. These are laws and standards.
Now let's explore the relationship between individuals and society, which is called the division of labor. The division of labor is sociology's first class. A bit of a background, during the 19th century or the mid-19th century, social order was threatened because people started thinking about just themselves. France was defeated by Prussia and a revolution called the Paris Commune happened. These were both blamed on individualism, which was brought upon by the division of labor. So let's simplify the content of the division of labor. Simple society had similar jobs, while modern society had a more complex hierarchy, more specializations. So then, the diversity weakens the shared moral beliefs because people no longer share similar experiences. They are only being held together by their dependency on each other. According to Durkheim, there are two types of society, organic and mechanical solidarity. For the mechanical, it's more on the side of the simple society where they're held by moral beliefs that are similar for all of them. And for the organic solidarity, that's the more complex form society, which is the modern society. We also have something called the dynamic density, which is believed to be the driving force from mechanical to organic societies.
So, there are four types of suicide. The first, egoistic. Second, altruistic. Third, anomic. Fourth, fatalistic. He chose to study suicide because of its relatively concrete and specific phenomenon and comparatively good data available. The most important reason why he did this is to prove the power of the new science of sociology. And suicide at that time is considered to be one of the most private and personal acts. His conclusion is that the critical factors in differences in suicide rates were found in differences at the level of social facts. The second is different groups have different collective sentiments, which produce different social currents. The third is social currents are what affect individual decisions about suicide, which lead to the changes in suicide rates. First, egoistic suicide. It is likely to be found in societies or groups in which the individual is not well integrated into the larger social unit. It has lack of integration. It leads to a feeling that the individual is not part of the society and the society is not part of the individual. Durkheim believed that the best parts of a human being comes from society, our moral, our values, and our sense of purpose. Second is the altruistic suicide. It is more likely to occur when social integration is too strong. The individual is literally forced into committing suicide. For example of this is the mass suicide of the followers of Reverend Jim Jones in Jonestown, Guyana, 1978. People who commit this kind of suicide do so because they feel like it is their duty to do so. It is likely in the military, where the degree of integration is so strong that the individual will feel that he or she has disgraced the entire group by the most trivial of failures. Third is the anomic suicide. It is more likely to occur when the regulative powers of society are disrupted. It is likely to rise whether the nature of disruption is positive, for example, economic boom, or negative, an economic depression. Fourth is a fatalistic suicide. These are done by persons with futures pitilessly blocked and passions violently choked by oppressive discipline. Too much regulation unleashes currents of melancholy that in turn cause a rise in the rate of fatalistic suicide. For example of this is oppressed slaves.
Durkheim's Elementary Forms of Religious Life, published 1912, a book that analyzes religion, a social phenomenon. It tackles some things that are profane. Profane are things you do every day like eating, sleeping, walking, and then the sacred. The sacred is when the things become extraordinary, and this religious theory can be about religious rituals wherein they believe an object may have some kind of power, and it is identified to be a source of strength. This book is also presented a study about the most distant origins of religious beliefs and practices. Durkheim used anthropological or ethnographic material. He was, for example, very interested in field studies. He believed led to the description of human sentiments and superhuman powers to these objects, in turn leading to totemism, which is one of the earliest manifestations of religion, investigated by Durkheim in one of the oldest tribes on the earth, the Aboriginal Australians. The essence of religion, Durkheim finds, is the concept of the sacred, that being the only phenomenon which unites all religions. Durkheim defines religion as a unified system of beliefs and practices relative to sacred things, that is to say, things set apart and forbidden beliefs and practices which unite into a single moral community called the Church. All those who adhere to them in modern societies, the individual and the individual right covered to become the new sacred phenomena, and hence this may be called religious for Durkheim.
So now we will be discussing on moral education and social reform. Durkheim believed that the role of social science was to provide guidance for specific kinds of social intervention. His writings were mainly concentrated on social issues, but he was also persistent on social reforms, namely moral education and occupational associations. His social reforms came from his belief that changes in society are temporary and are not permanent. He explained that the main goal of society was to give an individual a moral direction, and when that does not happen, society needs reformation. Durkheim also opposed both radicals and conservatives. He believed that conservatives were close-minded on the idea of progression and were only focused on restoration of power to the Roman Catholic Church. On the other hand, radicals believed that society cannot also be reformed, but they also sought for revolution to bring about communism and socialism. Durkheim also explained that abstract morality cannot serve as a good foundation for a reform system. So for morality, Durkheim believed that new morality is a result of moral traditions in a society. Immorality, first of which is discipline, second is attachment, and last is autonomy. Difference in individual and group interests results in conflict. That is why he proposed that discipline was to constrain any egoistic impulses. Attachment is the soft side of morality. It is out of willingness. Last is autonomy. Durkheim believed that only scientific understanding can provide a good foundation for moral autonomy. So next we will be discussing his two social reforms, which is moral education and occupational associations.
1. Education. Based on Durkheim's belief, reform is necessary for a modern society to work effectively. Through education, it provides individuals with these types of skills, which is physical skills, intellectual skills, and moral tools, for an individual to function in the society, and therefore making these theoretical social sciences be applied in real life. There are two approaches in education before Durkheim's attempt in Reformation. 1. Education as an extension of the church, and 2. Education as the unfolding of the natural individual. These approaches reflected the current situation within that time. Durkheim's outlook on education are the following. He believed that education is the only available institution that can provide social foundation for modern morality, thus helping the children to develop a moral attitude towards society. 2. He considered every classroom as a small society. And 3. These factors would be able to educate and reproduce 3 components of morality: the discipline, attachment, and autonomy. Number 2. Occupational association. Occupational association is a solution in providing a common integrative morality in which involves everyone in the same industry and reorganize them into a single group. The benefits of this movement are 1. To counteract division of modern society, and 2. To help stop the decline of significance of collective morality.